Welcome to Do Go On, the brand new show with myself, Dave Warneke, and I'm here with one of my co-hosts, Matt Stewart.
Hey Dave, how's it going?
Good, thank you, Matthew.
It's really good to be here. So we're sticking with the name Do Go On.
We are going with Do Go On. We need to add one more person to the trio that is Do Go On. I'm the Do, you're the Go, and the On is Jess Perkins.
Always on.
Always on. Hello, Jess.
Hello, lads. How are we?
We are good, making podcast history, as you said before we hit record, hopefully.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be a trivia question one day? What was the first thing Dave Warneke said on the historical first Do Go On podcast?
That is honestly going to be a life goal of mine, is to get a Trivial Pursuit question about me.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to be some sort of mass murderer, though, to get on there.
Yeah,
what's your best?
How many people did Dave Warneke murder in 2017?
What's your
wow.
best chance so far in your first 25 years? What have you done that's the most noteworthy?
Dave Warneke. School captain of Eltham East Primary School 2002.
Hello.
That's pretty good.
Hello.
Thank
That's pretty
you.
good.
Drama captain of Avila College 2008.
Not bad.
Nice, Matthew. Any captaincies?
Are you a leader?
Year 9 SRC.
Hello.
St James,
Well,
East Bentley.
I think
Hey, but wait. Icing on the cake.
Mm.
Yep.
The badge was given to me by our biggest, most famous alumni, Luke Beveridge, now coach of the Western Bulldogs football team. Thank you.
Oh my! At the time.
La-di-da.
Thank you.
Okay, so ooh, Mr. Beveridge.
There's also a rumour that I never found out if it was true or not. Our other famous alumni was he got expelled from a Frankston High School and came for 1 year, and he was the singer of 28 Days. I don't know if that's true or not, but
Wow, rip it up.
we were pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
At the
Claim
time.
it, I reckon.
So, but they don't get him back to present the
No,
SRC
apparently not.
badges.
So that's why I don't know if it's definitely true. I didn't see his photo wasn't on in the gymnasium like Luke Beveridge's was. So.
Well, there we go. So, I think I'm gonna outrank you here with the school captain. Then
Yeah,
my vice president is, of course, the drama captain, and then
Because I was a very specific captain, but you were a captain of the whole school.
the entire
But
everyone.
I was also school captain and sports captain in grade 6. I don't know if that...
That's what I'm talking about. I am in grade
Yeah.
6.
Yeah,
Damn,
yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
a sports. So
So I was both.
okay, pardon me. I was only a captain in the choir in grade 6
Oh
as
my
well.
God.
So over to
Ooh.
you, my fearless leader, Jess Perkins, school captain, sports captain, drama and sports.
I've just always been a natural leader, is what we're learning here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What did you use your power for?
Oh, evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In every SRC meeting that I can remember, did SRC is like a thing still?
Yeah.
Right? What does it stand for?
absolutely.
Student
Representative
Council.
Council?
Yeah.
That says council.
Every meeting, it was one kid would be like, "All right, first on the agenda, can we get a deep fryer in the tuck shop?
Yeah.
We want chips at lunchtime, hot chips, please." And the principal would be like, "Yeah, look, we're looking into it." Okay,
Everyone-
It's like,
we've been
shut
looking
the
into it.
fuck up.
Every week since that guy from 28 Days brought one to school and got expelled.
What a great way to get expelled.
Oh, for
Chips for all.
deep frying stuff in the locker bay. All right, guys. Well, we are here. We are going to go on. The show is called Do Go On, and what happens is the three of us are all interested in varying topics and stuff. I write. It's true.
That is I think that's true about everyone.
But for example, you mentioned you were really proud of knowing a guy called Luke Beveridge, and I'd never heard of him, even though that he's the coach of the football team that I claim to barrack for. So very, very different
So great.
hobbies, skills, and interests. And I also, so we all know each other from performing comedy around Melbourne, but my job is to write trivia questions for a pub trivia company. Matt, you also work for this pub trivia company. You're a new quiz host, and you also have a job part-time fact-checking questions for a TV quiz show.
Yes.
And Jess, you just love live.
And I just love you guys. And I just like hanging out with you. So I thought, I'm in.
You're in? You're
Perkins
totally
is
in.
in.
So,
And I'm good at trivia. I don't write it, but I'm generally pretty good at it.
that's all it needs to be.
Test
So,
her. We'll give her.
No,
give her a
don't,
big
because
one.
now I've got cocky.
What football team does Luke Beveridge coach? Question mark.
Bulldogs.
Yeah, she's
Point to
good.
her. She is good. She's good. So, researching questions, I often get into a Wikipedia binge, like some sort of cycle where I can't get out, and I'm just suddenly reading about all kinds of stuff. And I'm sure, Matt, you read about things that you don't really need to know about when you're fact checking.
Totally. I think I would be surprised if Jess doesn't fall down similar holes,
Oh,
right?
of course,
I
absolutely.
think everyone knows what the feeling of falling down a wiki hole is like.
Yeah, it's the same as like a YouTube vortex.
Yeah.
You know, like you watch one thing, or like you watch one tutorial, or you look up one Wikipedia page, and then 3 hours later you're like looking at Napoleon, and you're like, what am I doing here?
It's interesting. It's really
very
fascinating.
interesting.
Yeah, totally. Well, this show
It's
is all
4 a.m.
well, this show is all about those fascinating things that you read about at 4 a.m. and you've got no reason to know it, no one to tell it, and that's what we're going to do on this show. Each week we're going to take it in turns to prepare a report, a class presentation, if you will, if we're going to keep going with this school sort of metaphor that we've got going on, and to the other two, sort of teach them about something that we've learnt during the week in one of our Wikipedia binges. So I'm going to go first with our report. I'm going to go on about something at length, and that is, well, it started with a question. So I'm going to ask you guys a question, and that is, when you think of art, do you guys like art?
Yeah.
You know of it? You know of art?
No, I just I think I just love, you know, that saying people say, that sort of cliches. I don't know a lot about art, but I know what I like. And what I like is my favorite art. What are you going to talk about? Can I?
Well, I'm just going to ask, when you think of art, this is probably for you. What do you think of? What piece? It might be a sculpture, a painting,
Well,
installation, if you will.
Before you even brought up that question, I already had a piece of art in my mind. Do you know a guy called Frederick McCubbin?
Oh, yes, a very famous Australian artist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did like a lot of bush landscapes and
Yeah.
stuff. He did this painting called The Pioneer,
Yeah.
and it was like one of those 3 paintings in one paintings.
It's called a triptych.
Triptych.
Triptych. T-R-I-P.
That sounds way better than 3 paintings in one. Because I feel like he would have finished it and gone, check this out, I've done 3 paintings in one. But no, he might have said triptych.
No, absolutely. You call it a triptych. If the 3 panels sort of go together, and that's one sort of piece. And I know the one you mean.
Yeah, my parents have a print of it.
Of the Pioneer.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of my primary school, we had one hanging in the library.
Ah, there you go. Great painting.
So
Where you
Frederick-
were a captain, right? You were a library
yeah,
captain?
that's right. I installed that painting because I was a big Frederick McCubbin fan. No, he's a very famous bush artist, and you think of art, you think of that.
I'm a McCubbin man.
What's your exposure to McCubbin? How'd you get into the McCubbs?
I got into McCubbin via a different painting, I think it was called The Lost Girl, and that was, my parents had a print of that at home, which I quite like, but there's nothing can compare to a triptych.
Yeah.
You understand that right?
You've used that word correctly,
Yeah,
yes.
thank you very
Well
much.
done. Well done. Yeah, I was thinking, like, when you said art, I was just thinking, like, Statue of David.
Statue of David.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
By
You know.
Michelangelo.
That is correct.
Quite famous, that one, you know.
Well, we might talk a bit about Michelangelo here, but I'm thinking of a painting. The world's... what would you say is the world's most famous painting?
After McCubbin's
After
triptych.
McCubbin's triptych. After the painting of Michelangelo's Statue of David.
It would have to be like something like The Scream or the Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa, I was gonna say, yeah.
or-
Mona Lisa, we have a winner. Now, the Mona Lisa, it's featured in the 20th century. It featured in over 2,000 advertisements. It's in the most visited gallery in the world, the Louvre. They estimate that 80% of the near 10 million people that visit every year go just so they can see that little face hanging on a wall.
Yeah, I did.
That's crazy.
So we're going to talk about the Mona Lisa today, and my first question was going to be: have you guys been to the Louvre in Paris? Have you
I have.
come face to face with the lady herself?
I sure have. And it's...
How was the experience?
She's smaller than you think.
It is.
She's not that big.
She's a little lady.
It
Little lady.
is an insanely overwhelming and underwhelming thing.
Yeah.
I found, because I visited. So I went in the off season, so it was Christmas Eve in 2013. It was raining, and I still had to line up outside for an hour.
Oh.
That's how popular this place is. And you go in there, and you've heard about it all your life, and you think. I think a lot of people, if they think of paintings, they think of Leonardo Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, and you get there, and you're face to face with her, and it's so small.
Yeah.
So that's sort of super underwhelming. But then it's overwhelming because it's in this pretty small room and there's more people than you ever thought even existed.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Crammed into one place.
you know what I found really funny as well? I felt sorry for the other paintings that are in that room because you turn around directly opposite the Mona Lisa is this enormous.
Well, I've researched that, baby.
Have
It's
you really?
called The Wedding at Cana by another artist called Veronese, and that is the biggest painting in the entire museum. It measures 6 meters by 10 meters.
Yeah, it's huge
And
and
it has-
it's beautiful.
It's amazing. It's got 130 different full-size people painting in it, one of whom is Jesus Christ.
and
still
nobody looks at it.
No one is looking at it, and it's...
To me, that would be I'd be way more interested in seeing that. But to answer your question about the Louvre, am I saying that right?
Yeah.
I've been. I don't know if I haven't been inside there. So is it true to say that I've been there?
Yeah.
I've been near there.
You've been to the Louvre, but you haven't been
in
the
the
Louvre.
Louvre.
Yeah,
Louvre.
there was
Is
a
that-
really. It was a unlike you. I was there in the middle of summer. It was a beautiful day. I'd never seen such blue skies. But the line was still pretty long, and I
I didn't have to line up at all.
wow, I just could not be. I
What
would
do
have.
you just point at your face and go,
I was like,
Just
excuse
Perkins.
me, you've probably seen me on YouTube.
I was the captain of my school.
Yeah, no. So I did not go inside, but I thought that triangle thing looks cool.
Yeah, it does look pretty
The
cool.
pyramid
The
thing.
glass
Yeah.
pyramids out the front.
So I was into that, but yeah, I was by myself. Who
Oh, no, you
queues
can't
for
go by
like
yourself.
an hour or so by yourself?
See, I was with a group of friends and we got to Paris on a Friday and then we're looking up like things we can do and it's there was a little note on the website that was like people under 25 get in for free on Friday nights and we were like, let's all go! So we got in for free.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Free
We just
without
showed
a
our
queue.
ID. There was like my 4 friends went first and he went, yep. We got to me and he
Did he actually say yep, or was he we?
No, he was going yes because he could see that it was Australian licenses.
Was-
And then he
Yeah,
looked at
mate.
mine. He looked at mine and went no. And I was like, oh no. And then he's like, ha ha ha. And then can I let me in?
I am a
I was like,
comedian.
oh, the French, they are funny.
Oh, they are very, very funny. And actually, I found the most overwhelming thing ever is that you're in the room, like I say, with a million other people. It's disappointingly small. It only measures 77 by 53 centimeters.
Wow.
So, like, less than a tenth of the size of this other massive painting
Yeah.
across the road from it. It's behind glass. So many people there, and one part of you is trying to connect with the most famous piece of art in the entire history of mankind. And at the same time, there's also about 6 people taking a selfie where they're looking like they're picking her nose. It's like the biggest cultural, oh God, this is not good.
It just to me, like, I kind of get the reason why you go see it. I love being in a place where something's so famous that you sort of I get this weird feeling like I can't believe I'm in the same room as this thing. But at the same time, I've seen it. It's a picture, right? I've seen pictures of it, which are pretty accurate. I think they're photos often. I know exactly what it looks like. And if it's not, if you're not gaining anything because the scale of it's pretty small, I don't really get the point.
You can't go up close,
You
yeah.
if it's some huge thing, oh, look, I'm sounding like a dickhead.
No, but I know
Please
what you mean.
go on.
I know what you mean because I thought the same about a lot of landmarks. Because I'm like, I've seen so many photos of them, like Leaning Tower of Pisa. Like, oh, I've seen it. I'm like, but then you go and it's like, oh.
Yeah, there is something cool about being in the same place as something
Yeah.
like that.
And it was kind of nice to be like, wow, that's the actual Mona Lisa. That's pretty cool. That's a very old painting. All right, let's go get
that sort of stuff blows me away, actually. You know, when you're in a place and you're like, this thing was literally touched by Leonardo.
Yeah.
I was going to say DiCaprio.
I know. I could see
That
you
is a real,
hesitate.
yeah.
He is a pretty
Da
big
Vinci.
box office star, but I don't think even he would be allowed to touch the painting.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the Mona Lisa is the most famous painting in the world, as I continually claim it is, what do we know about it? Surely if it's famous, what do you guys know? Surely you would know a lot about it, right?
Well, I know it was painted by Leonardo
Da Vinci.
Da Vinci. That's so bad. I'm not fucking around. My instinct is to say DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Is that bad? Who was
what,
from the past?
Yes.
He was like from the 1500s or something
That's
earlier.
correct. Yes, that's
15.
correct.
What else do we know? I'm gonna know bits and pieces as you say them, but I can't recall them now.
But
What's
so
the
you
most
find that-
famous thing about Leonardo to you?
He was an inventor as well as a painter.
And A Ninja Turtle.
We're going to talk about Ninja Turtles. We are going to get there. We are definitely going to talk Ninja Turtles because I'm a big fan.
He's left-handed. He's left-handed, like me.
Ah, sinister.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah.
Yes, definitely left-handed. Well, we're going to talk about the great man Leonardo. We're going to talk about
He had a beard.
Ninja Turtles. But
His mates called him Leo.
do you think it's weird that we don't know that much about something that's so famous?
Yeah.
And then I think that's weird, but then I think people know less about art than ever. And I know this because a few weeks ago I was doing one of these trivia nights. I was hosting a corporate trivia night for a big real estate firm in the city here in Melbourne. And one of the questions was pretty easy. It was in Florence in 1501, what Italian artist began sculpting the giant statue of David that we've already talked about?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the answer, as everyone knows, Michelangelo. But one guy, after I asked this question, stands up loudly and yells, "Mate, how the fuck am I supposed to know that? That's like asking who sculpted the bronze statue of Ron Barassi outside the MCG."
No.
And he was serious.
Oh.
Serious. So I know,
Oh, boy.
moral here, I've lost faith in humanity.
Yeah.
People know nothing about art. So we're going to talk about the most famous painting on earth today, the Mona Lisa, and why it is so incredibly famous. So a bit of a background. Mona Lisa, as you guys know, has already told me, was painted by Leonardo Da Vinci in Florence, in Italy, in about 1503.
Good year.
Good year. Only a
For
couple-
wine and art.
If you still had wine,
Are
or
you holding on to that bottle
Oh,
still?
yeah. For
That
my
would be
firstborn.
worth a fortune. That's right. On my firstborn 600th birthday, they can crack open this delicious Vinci wine. People argue about how long you painted it for, but the Louvre, let's go with them because we've all been there, not in there, but been there. They argue, well, they tell everyone that it started in 1503 and you painted it to 1506. So some people say you're still touching it up 15 years later, towards the end of his life. But let's say he did it for a few years.
Touching it up.
Then Leonardo himself, oh yeah, my goodness, it's terrible.
Matt just winked at me.
Oh, he did it to me. It feels gross. Don't wink after you said touch up. So the Vinci man, Leonardo himself, is a really, really interesting guy. And not only because he is the namesake of my personal favourite Ninja Turtle, which is Leonardo.
Ah, the leader. That makes sense.
I'm
School
the
captain.
leader, school captain. I also carry 2 swords with me everywhere I go, just like the real one. How about you guys? Did you have a favourite Ninja Turtle?
It's hard. I mean, it's like picking a favourite child.
Mine,
Oh, really? That difficult? Because I thought most kids had. I like them all. Obviously, they're all
that's it.
they're all ninjas and turtles. Whoa!
I always forget
But
which colour was which. I think that's my
mine was
problem.
Donatello, the
I was going
purple.
to say, but no, I think I liked. Which one was blue?
That was
That was
Leonardo.
Leonardo. Yeah, okay, maybe I'll. Yeah, I think.
I'm sensing.
Well, you are a leader as well, so
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I'm
you
sensing
guys
that you're not as big a fan as Matt or I.
I think my brother was really into it, so I think I rejected it a little bit.
Yeah,
Because I was like, no, that's not cool.
And I think my favorite would have been Michelangelo if it was, if it was just a being fully honest kind of thing.
Oh, right.
If it was one of them being fully honest kind of things.
So
but-
now you're an adult and you can make real choices.
Well,
you're rethinking.
No, I mean,
Donatello.
as a kid, I picked Donatello. I think it was because he was like a bit of an underdog. No one's favorite was Donatello.
Yeah, because 1, he was a nerd that did computers and machines. 2, he carried a wooden stick.
a bow staff is what they called it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, all right. That versus 2 swords. Come on, mate.
Yeah, but
Come on.
like the wooden stick seemed to hold up really well against things, and he was still good. He spun it around and stuff.
Yeah, he did a bit of pole vaulting.
So he was the thoughtful kind of one, and then Michelangelo was the funny one, which I think is who everyone's favorite was at the time from memory. But I think that was why, and I think that's a similar reason
The
why
party dude. Yeah.
why I'm a George Harrison fan. Because he's like not ever, or even Ringo. I've been in arguments saying Ringo's got some skills.
You think Ringo could beat Leonardo?
Well, I feel like Ringo's probably the Donatello of the Beatles.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
I reckon McCartney would be the Leonardo. Michelangelo would be the Lennon.
Leaving George Harrison as the rude one, Raphael.
Oh, yeah, no, that doesn't,
Yeah,
that
Raphael
doesn't
had a
work
bit
out
of
at all,
like an
does
anger
it?
issue, didn't
Yeah,
he? Was
he
he
was-
really like...
In the theme song,
So maybe maybe
him-
McCartney is Raphael.
they called him cool but rude.
cool but rude?
And then someone is the party dude.
Michelangelo, party dude. Oh, here's a great fact about that theme song. This is a killer fact.
Okay.
The guy that created Two and a Half Men, Big Bang Theory, all those kind of shitty shows. Chuck Lorre
Yeah.
was his name.
I always pronounce that Laurie in my head.
Oh, I also thought it was Chuck Lorre.
No, it probably definitely is.
In the 80s was a musician. Well, he's obviously still makes music, but he was a musician and songwriter, and he co-wrote the theme song
Wow.
that is an
Wow.
amazing
Teenage
fact.
Mutant
That's
Ninja Turtles.
That's a talented dude.
That I know, but obviously made a lot more money from telling the worst jokes ever seen
Well,
on
it
television.
Yeah.
turns out that
We
he
thank
is
him.
also funny but rude. No, what was it?
Cool but rude.
Cool but, well,
Cool
yeah,
but
he was rude anyway.
All right, we're going to get slightly sidetracked
Charlie Sheen is a party dude.
here. Definitely. We're going to get slightly...
So sorry about
Thanks
everything.
for singing on the show. We're going to get slightly sidetracked to talk about all the Ninja Turtles namesakes real quick because they're all cool, some of them rude in their own
They're
right.
all party
So
dudes.
your favourite, Matt, Donatello, possibly your favourite too, Jess.
Yeah.
He's
He's
the
a
oldest.
sculptor, right?
Yep, he was the only one that didn't paint. He just sculpted, and he lived to be 80 years old.
Whoa. Which back then was
Really old.
Really
So he
old.
was born in 1386, died in 1466.
Whoa.
Second oldest is our man Leonardo. We're going to talk a lot more about. He lived to be 67, died in 1519. Then we've got Michelangelo, who lived to be 88 years
Wow.
old.
Wow.
So that's also 16th century, died in 1564. And he sculpted David and Pieta, not as famous as the Ron Barassi MCG
Yeah.
statue, of course.
Did you look
Well,
up who did
arguable.
the...
The Ron Barassi.
Yeah.
Definitely not Michelangelo. But he completed both David and Pieta, his two most famous statues, before he was 30 years old. So
What have we done with our lives, Dave?
not enough.
Ooh.
Not.
We've got 5 years.
But also, if we live as long as him, we've got 50,
Oh, good point.
60 more years to go. And so he did a lot of great stuff. Obviously, the Sistine Chapel ceiling, the Vatican, the Last Judgment fresco on the wall, also in the Vatican. So he lived to be 88, which at the time is like 1,000 years old. It's so old.
So old.
It's old. He outlived Raphael, who's the youngest of the four, by 44 years, even though Raphael is born 8 years after him. So then we have Raphael, who possibly is my new favourite Ninja Turtle because he was born in 1483, died in 1520. He was only 37. And this is what we know about his death. According to Vasari, who was an artist biographer at the time, Italian guy called Vasari, this is what he wrote about Raphael. Raphael's premature death on Good Friday, April 6th, 1520, which was also possibly his 37th birthday, was caused by a night of excessive sex with his mistress and model Luti, after which he fell into a fever, and not telling the doctors that this was its cause, was given the wrong cure, which killed him.
Wow.
So there you go. So he had a lot of sex, had a fever, was too embarrassed to tell the doctor that he'd just been banging all night. They gave him the wrong medication, which killed him.
What a time to be alive when you're embarrassed that you've been banging all night.
What a badass.
You think he'd walk in
That's
like
so
high
good.
fiving
Yeah.
everybody?
That
Doctor, you know what's up?
And
I
I
got
wanna-
a sex disease. Big time.
really they should have just given like a like a cigarette or something to relax, like
Yeah.
sit back. Really, Raphael, cool but rude. Cool
Really?
but rude.
Wow.
All right, then we have Leonardo, who is the namesake for the leader of the Turtles. It's not hard to see why that he's the leader, because he was a ridiculously good painter. But he was also a sculptor, an architect, a musician, a mathematician, engineer, inventor, as we already discussed, anatomist, geologist,
Ugh.
cartographer, botanist, and writer.
Dude.
So what?
He's like
What an
the
overachiever.
Waleed Ali of the olden days.
But
He
you know
did.
what though? Like, at least you'd want Waleed at a party because he seems like a cool dude.
Yeah.
Like, you'd like to have a chat to him. I feel like Leonardo's got too many feathers in his hat.
Yeah.
Too many.
And you'd just be like, oh man, come on.
You'd be going all the time.
Stop talking shit.
Yeah.
Well, he's not talking, he's writing shit. He wrote 13,000 pages of notes and drawings in his lifetime. And for you left-hander, he mainly wrote using mirror image cursive, which is where you write backwards from left to right, so you can read it properly if you hold a mirror up to it.
God.
Because that's easier for a left-hander to do,
Yeah.
writing from the wrong way. But that is the
wrong way.
worst. That is the worst code of all time.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, maybe mirrors weren't as widespread at the time, but if you were going to tell him, hey mate, every house in the whole world is going to have a mirror soon,
Yeah. This isn't going to be difficult to say.
this is terrible.
Wow.
But he invented and proposed inventions of things like parachutes, flying machines, weapons, including an early machine gun
Wow.
before the gun, a giant crossbow, an armoured car, scuba gear, and my personal favourite, the world's largest horse.
I've invented a horse.
Which,
no, they exist.
Wait, can I know that's good, but the one that got me there was the armoured car. Cars weren't invented for another 400 years.
Neither were guns.
That's how good this guy is. He
Jesus.
looks ahead and improves inventions that don't exist yet. He's like, no, I'm pretty sure broadband's going to be better than dial-up. Sorry, what? Pardon? He's pretty
Wow.
good. But the world's biggest horse, he wanted to make a statue of a horse out of bronze, but it never got built because they
Better
had,
than a Barassi.
oh no, they had to give away the bronze, not for a Barassi. They had to give it away to the French to bribe them to not invade Italy. So they're like, here, have this giant horse worth of bronze. And they're like, thank you, we won't not invade. Which sucks because if you think about how valuable a giant horse of bronze made by Leonardo would be worth now.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It'd be worth way more. And just a bonus fact again, the world's largest horse statue was completed in Mongolia in 2009.
Maccabi Diva. I think it was the Maccabi Diva.
Tribute.
That's right, it's Genghis Khan riding Maccabi Diva in Mongolia. No, it's Genghis Khan on a horse. It is 40 metres tall.
40 metres.
Which is taller than Christ the Redeemer, the massive statue in Brazil.
Why have I never heard of this?
It's so big. It's mainly because you've probably never been to Mongolia, Matthew.
I have never been to Mongolia.
I need to Google that.
Put it on the list.
Yeah, add that to the list just for the horse.
It's,
So that you can come
it's
home.
impressive.
Yeah.
But fear not,
He's writing it on his list.
Leonardo's
Big horse.
Big Horse. If you're a
Mongolia.
fan of the original Big Horse, the Leonardo one, fear not, because 5 centuries later they finished Leonardo's horse. In the 70s, Charles Dent, a United Airlines pilot, he wanted to complete the unfinished sculpture, so he set up efforts to organise finance to make the project happen. However, it proved more difficult than he originally thought. So it took 15 years for this pilot to put it together, and it was going to cost $2.5 million to make it these days. And sadly, Dent died in 1994 before they could make it. But he was quite wealthy, so he left his private art collection to the LVDHI. What do you guys think that would stand for?
Leonardo.
H is a horse, right?
Leonardo Da Vinci. Wait, LVDHI?
Yep,
Horse
Leonardo.
Initiative.
Horse
It
Initiative.
is Horse Incorporated. It is Leonardo da Vinci's Horse Inc., which is the name of the worst charity of all time. No, guys, it's all right. Tax write-off. So he sold his art, so he got another $1 million for the fund. So finally, in the 90s, Nina Okuma, an artist, finished 2 full-size casts of the horse, which was, guess how big it was?
Okay. Is it
Well, it's
bigger
really
than
big.
the
It's
one
a
in...
huge one. 50 metres.
No, it is smaller than the Genghis Khan.
Oh, okay. 10 metres.
It is only 7.3 meters
Oh
tall.
my God.
So what?
Pretty big horse. I don't think there's real horses that big
yeah.
now. Is there?
That's right. This was Leonardo da Vinci seeing genetic modification ahead of his time again.
Wow.
So Genghis Khan's horse, the 40-meter one, could literally step on
Yeah.
the Da Vinci horse.
Easily.
What a piece of shit.
So,
Little
what a-
horse. Who cares
Da
about
Vinci?
it?
Yes.
You are a joke.
Stop wasting our time.
But Leonardo da Vinci, whose name just means Leonardo of Vinci.
Mm-hmm.
It's not his surname. He did not have a surname.
Right.
Just
I did
Leonardo.
not know that.
Well,
So Leonardo of Caprio. Is that true too?
No. That's D, and this is Da Vinci. I'm sorry. Sorry to say there.
It's a great joke, though. Great one. Yeah.
Oh, wait. You
Nailed
said
it,
joke,
nailed it.
but it was just a question.
Yeah, I think it was just a question.
What is, all right, you don't know all these things, but what does Leonardo DiCaprio mean?
What does it mean? It means pretty good, but not good enough for an Oscar.
Yeah, okay.
That's what it means. So Leonardo da Vinci was born out of wedlock, controversial, in the town of Vinci in Tuscany to a wealthy lawyer type named Piero. And his
Lawyer
mother
type.
was a peasant called Caterina. So his father married 4 times, Piero, and in his lifetime was married 4 times, and was nicknamed Pimp Daddy Da Vinci,
Oh,
which
wow.
roughly translates as Pimp Daddy of Vinci. That's not true at all. But he married 4 times. Also, out
Wait,
of
that's
wedlock.
not true, Dave? Come on.
Pimp Daddy of Vinci. I think back then that's what they would have
Pimp
said.
Daddy, I reckon. But not much is known about Leonardo's childhood, but he received an informal education. I love this, informal, but the subjects he studied were Latin, geometry, and mathematics.
Pretty informal.
Pretty informal, just the three.
Wow.
So, which if you want to have a genius child, is probably the curriculum, I reckon.
Yeah.
Latin. Your geometry, your maths.
Yeah, Latin's pretty useful for sure.
Definitely.
Wish I'd paid more attention in Latin.
Yeah, wish I'd paid less attention in geometry and more attention in Latin.
Yeah.
The only Latin I know is the saint's motto, which is, I've never heard it said, but it looks like it's pronounced Fortius quo fidelius.
Oh.
And it means strength through loyalty.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
My school motto was Ecclesiae Filiae, Daughters of the Church.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a bit lame.
My school motto was Warneke High School, so you came here.
I don't think that's true.
Does daughters of the church mean the priest was your dad?
No, not the priest. Or daughters of the church being the community.
Oh, the community was your dad.
Yeah. Or mum.
Thanks, Dad.
I'm also my mum's daughter, Matt. It's not a different word for
I'll
that.
see how it works.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Can you?
We're all learning here. We're all learning. So thanks for that, Matt.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm too reclined. I feel like I'm too relaxed.
No, but it's great when you
Keep
just
relaxing.
chuckle to yourself. It's very entertaining.
I love it.
And the best part is as well, like, I can't see Dave's mouth. It's covered by the microphone, so it's just his eyes, which are very expressive. So it's great.
I do a lot of expression with my eyes, which out there in podcast land, you can appreciate to the full extent. Just Google image me and zoom in on my eyes.
So sorry to get
They're big
distracted.
enough. They're
Dave,
big
please, do go on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. At age 14, Leonardo was apprenticed to a renowned artist, Verrocchio. Imagine it was like the Celebrity Apprentice. Just sort of that. Just imagine, you're fired from art. Thanks, Trump. There's not enough apprenticing these days, especially to become an artist. No one apprentices to become an artist, do you? It's more.
No, because it's in your heart. You can't teach it.
No, these days it's more of a 3-step program. It's step 1, you get a scarf. 2, you start drinking coffee. 3, you accept a life of poverty and sadness.
I have all 3 of those things. Am I an artist?
You are an artist.
Yay!
That's right, the unfulfilled artist.
What is my art form?
I did some stand-up at a spoken word night recently. Every other actor was a poet, and they said that what I did was also could be considered art.
What?
And I shed a tear.
The fact that they had to say that out loud doesn't sound like the gig went very well.
It did not go very
That
well.
was Matthew there. What he was trying was art.
It did not. No, I asked
He
from
was
the.
trying.
I know, exactly. What you could do is could also be described possibly a bit of art.
It went more
Certainly
like
not
this.
comedy.
From the stage, I was getting a relatively quiet response, and I said something like, "I'm pretty intimidated being here with all you artists," and then someone said, "Hey,
Yes,
Oh, no.
a poetry heckler.
hey, nah, you what you're doing's art as well." And I'm like, "Really?"
I say, good sir, I respect the art form. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now let me return to my little jokes.
I think we might be one of the shittiest art forms. I think we're only just above interpretive dance.
Oh, we are definitely above interpretive dance. Right?
I'd hope so.
But they take themselves so seriously that that probably is art.
Stand-up
Yeah.
takes itself pretty seriously.
Can do.
I'm trying to think, is there any art form that we are better than?
Clowning? No, but some of them are quite good.
Yeah.
Damn it.
What about, still better than sport, guys. Still better than sport.
Well,
I need this, Matt. I need this.
We're better than sport.
So Leonardo.
Leonardi. It's my name
The
for him.
Illuminati of Leonardo. Leonardo at his workshop was exposed to an array of art forms, mediums. He was exposed to metalwork, carpentry, chemistry, plaster casting, drafting, sculpting, and of course painting. And according to Vasari, who's the guy before that wrote about Raphael dying of hot sex, so I trust more than any other source I've ever read before now. He wrote that Leonardo collaborated with his master Verrocchio to paint an angel holding a robe, which was the style at the time. Leonardo was so superior to his master that Verrocchio never painted again. Oh my goodness, which is maybe why there's no art apprentices anymore. They're sick of being shown up. Actually, that story's not true because I read later on that they continued to collaborate later on in life. But anyway, Leonardo graduated the workshop and he was an accredited master age 20.
What?
Pretty good.
Come on.
Accredited. So there was some sort of body
Some
that...
sort of certificate.
Yeah, right.
I had 0 qualifications at 20.
Um,
I was like halfway through
An arts degree? I was
Yeah,
halfway through an arts degree at 20.
yeah, me too. Oh, God.
God.
Look how far we've come.
I don't know if people are going to remember us in 500 years, guys.
No.
His father, Pimp Vinci, then set
Pimp Daddy.
Pimp Daddy, pardon me. Sorry, the correct title. Set up Leonardo in his own workshop. So really a bit of a spoiled brat there.
Because his dad was quite wealthy, wasn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
Even though he was like having millions of kids
Yeah.
with millions of women. What a pimp. What a pimp daddy. Leonardo then travelled all around Italy doing all these amazing things mentioned earlier. But he actually finished very few projects, especially giant equine statues. Before
So he was an ideas man, but didn't have a lot of execution.
because he lamented that before he died that he never completed a single work in his own eyes. So on his deathbed, they asked him if he would like a glass of water, and then when he said nay, they thought he meant no, but he was in fact doing an impression of his giant horse.
Oh, Dave.
He died of dehydration.
Oh, Dave.
That's not true. That's not true. When I wrote that on the computer, I laughed out loud for a good 2 minutes. I was like, you know what? I deserve a chocolate milk for that one. Took a break.
That's a sign of a good joke when you write it and you laugh and then you read it a minute later and you're still laughing. You're like, yeah, this is going in.
And then when it gets zero reaction from you except for, oh, Dave. I'm like,
That was pretty brutal, Jess.
Sorry.
what? No,
If
you
could.
said that and I thought, yep, what I do is art.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am an
yeah.
artist.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Leonardo. But what about this Mona Lisa chick? What do we know about Mona Lisa? You know, you guys anything know about her?
No, I don't know anything about her. Is her name actually Lisa?
Well,
Wait, what does
think
Mona
so.
mean?
so Leonardo started...
I've got so many questions.
Well, I've got answers to all these questions, don't you worry. Leonardo started painting Mona Lisa in Florence in 1503, as I said before, so he was 51. So we've still got time to start our best project.
Right.
Sort of because that's
yeah, okay.
his most famous thing, started at 51. For a long time, there was extraordinary debate over who the woman in the painting was. Over time, people suggested a whole array of possible subjects. Some people even suggested that it was Leonardo himself, a self-portrait
Oh.
in the painting. Most historians, however, believe the woman in the painting to be Lisa del Giocondo.
Do you think the fact that it is a woman in the painting sort of suggests it isn't a self-portrait?
But then
Hey, Matt, it's art.
Sorry.
It can be a self-portrait.
Okay, you know that
Maybe
makes
that's
sense.
how he saw himself.
exactly.
Right, okay, look, I feel like an asshole.
An art soul.
That's right. If you do a lifetime of
Oh, Jess.
oh,
No, I deserved that, yeah.
yeah. If you do a lifetime of Latin and geometry, you're going to be a little
Difference
bit
is,
crazy.
Jess, you didn't write that on the computer and bring it here.
Yeah. I thought of it and hated it immediately.
Still sipping my milk. Still sipping my
Still
milk.
good. That was a great joke. It was
So
very good.
everyone thought a lot of historians think it's Lisa del Giocondo, who was the wife of a wealthy silk merchant, Francesco del Giocondo, but this wasn't confirmed.
Francesco of the Della Conto.
Oh, Matt. Oh, Matt. Oh, Matt. But it wasn't.
He just chuckles to himself.
That's what I was doing at home.
Yeah, no, fair.
But I had the decency to do that. Leave that at the door, please, Matthew. I've got some damn facts to get through here. So everyone thinks it's Lisa del Giocondo, right? But for 500 years, people are like, nah, I'm pretty sure it's someone else. And they can't prove it until 500 years later, in 2005, so not that long ago, 10 years ago, a scholar at the Heidelberg University in Germany found written,
I was thinking Heidelberg here.
not Heidelberg,
I was
Melbourne.
like, wow.
Oh my God.
Go Heidelberg.
Yeah, put them on the map, finally. We've got the Austin Hospital and now this.
Yeah.
No, in Germany, a scholar found written by hand in the margin of a book printed in 1477, they found a note from Leonardo contemporary Agostino Vespucci that said Leonardo was currently working on a portrait of a woman called Lisa del Giocondo, and it was dated 1503. So there you go.
Wow.
The only reason that we know who the Mona Lisa is for sure is because someone 500 years ago vandalized an art book. There you go.
Thank goodness.
Thank you. So next time you're at the library, just write some notes in there and you can claim that you are changing the history
Yeah.
of art.
Next time I'm on a train, I'm just going to leave a little tag. Just,
Leonardo Da Vinci is currently working on...
It would be more like Dave Warneke is currently working on a podcast called Do Go
Do go on. Check it out at...
Do we know if if Leonardo himself named the painting, or did that happen later?
So, well, the title Mona was given to it because Mona. So this is the English translation. So in French, it's known as La Gioconde, which is La Gioconda, and in Italian, it's known as La Gioconda, named after her last name. But it's called the Mona Lisa in English because Mona in Italian is a polite form of address, originating as Madonna, so 2 words, M-A and then Donna, similar to ma'am or madame in English. And then this became Madonna, 1 word, like the artist Madonna spells her name, and then it was contracted to Mona as a short form.
Oh.
So that's why it's called. And then people in English started just calling it Mona Lisa.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
I didn't know that.
And how long has the French called it the La
Gioconde.
Yeah, how long? Because that is that the surname of the?
No,
the
that's
model?
the. So in Italian, she spells her last name with a G, and in French, it's spelled with a J.
There's no J in
But
Italian.
that's Lisa's surname, right?
Is that true?
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
Lisa's surname.
So like, surely that was a big clue as to who the painting was of, right?
Well, yeah, that's what people were claiming, but you still couldn't prove it for a long
So
time.
it's been its name for a long time though, and only recently that little note said. Look, I'm gonna say, just based on the fact that that's what it's been called forever, that I believe it is Lisa La Fontaine.
La Fontaine, La Gioconde, or La Gioconda. Francesco Gioconda, the wealthy silk merchant I mentioned before, Lisa's husband, he commissioned Leonardo to make the portrait of his wife to celebrate his daughter Andrea's birth and the purchase of a new family home. So they wanted to make the painting.
Why
And
not paint your daughter if it's for her birth?
Yeah.
Or it's just like, hey, good job. Anyway, no.
Maybe this guy can see in the future and be like, look, no one's going to give a shit about a baby. But
Yeah, good
people are
one.
going to care about my plain-looking wife.
With no eyebrows.
There we go. Leonardo had no income at the time, which probably explains why he took the job. Because he was famous in his lifetime. People knew who he was. But he had to stop the job because he was given a more valuable commission. So he was never paid for the work and never gave it to them. So they never got it. So they never even got it.
And now it's like hella famous.
Super. That freaks me out. Imagine if you got famous hundreds of years after
Yeah.
your death. Like, just because everyone knows her face now.
Yeah.
But in her lifetime, no one knew her face.
But if it was given to them, it probably never would have become famous.
that's right.
Because it
Yeah.
would have just been in their private collection. No one would have ever seen it.
Yeah, but if she came back to life now, it would be super weird.
But do you reckon she'd be
That
mad too?
That
like,
would be. Wait, you saying it would be weird because she? Are you saying it would be weird because?
yeah.
Oh, look, I'm famous. This is weird. Not a woman from 500 years ago has come back to life.
Okay, bit of column A, bit of column B there.
I think both of those would be equally strange.
Wow.
But then 1516, Leonardo, so this is like 13 years later, was invited by King Francois I to work near the king's castle in France. So this is the king of France. And it's believed that Leonardo took the Mona Lisa with him and continued to work after he moved to France. So that's the controversy if he continued to paint it later on. And he may have done it until 2 years before his death, and he died in 1518, as said before. And after he died, Leonardo passed on, 67 years old, had a pretty good innings for the time.
Not bad.
The painting was inherited, among other works, by his pupil and longtime assistant Salai, S-A-L-A-I, Salai, who was also another person people claimed may have been the subject, because he was like a little assistant that went with him everywhere. And the King of France bought the painting off Salai and kept it in the palace of Fontainebleau. I think I've just quietly nailed that. Where it remained until Louis XIV moved the painting to the Palace of Versailles. Because obviously probably heard of Versailles, the big famous painting.
Been there.
Palace.
Sorry, just a little
And it survived
brag. Been there.
Matt, have you also seen Versailles?
I've seen it, but I didn't go in. Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah,
Did you-
I saw it as I flew over.
Nice.
Does that count?
The line was like 2 hours long, and I was like, I don't really care that much about this palace. So I just looked around the garden, and then I went home.
Yeah.
Is that true?
From the
Yeah.
outside,
Oh my goodness.
a lot of
I
those.
really should have gone in, but it was.
Yeah, it's the biggest house I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is.
Oh
amazing.
wow, a big
Some would
house.
argue a palace.
A palace. Well,
It's palatial. It's a palatial house.
it's bigger than my house. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, by quite a lot, I would
Really?
assume.
At least double.
wow.
At least
That's
double.
pricked my ears up.
Yeah, well, hello.
Can't believe it.
Should have gone in. Bloody goose I am.
You bloody goose. Mona Lisa survived the French Revolution. It was moved to the Louvre after that, but before it spent a brief period in the bedroom of Napoleon. Speaking of Napoleon earlier.
Yeah.
During the Franco-Prussian War, it was again moved from the Louvre to another place to keep it safe. So it's seen a lot of shit. It's done a lot of stuff. It's been owned by some very, very famous people, that kind of stuff. But that's not why it's known to us today. It's known to us because of an event that happened in 1911.
That's relatively recent.
So only 104 years ago. So on August 22nd, 1911, and so it was in the Louvre at this time, an artist named Louis Barou, an artist who did his own stuff, but he also copied other artists' work and then sold them on the street. So he'd go into the Louvre, do a sketch, and then sell it as a copy, because there was no photocopiers in 1911, guys.
Weird.
Can you believe the more you learn?
Leonardo had.
Yeah, I was going to say, he'd invented one.
He'd already invented the scanner.
Yeah, he'd gone one ahead.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a paper-free digital age one
3D
day.
printers he'd already thought of.
What a guy. So he went into the Louvre, this guy, Louis Barou, to do a sketch of the Mona Lisa to sell it on the street. And he saw where it's supposed to be on the wall, 4 iron pegs were hanging. So it wasn't there on the wall. And he went to see a garden. He was like, hey, where's the painting? And they said, relax, man. It's probably just being photographed for postcards and stuff. So that's how they would make money at the Louvre. They would make extra money at the time. They still do that. So he was like, it's just doing press. Don't worry about it. Copy something else. But this guy wasn't satisfied with that. So he went away. He came back at the end of the day, and it still wasn't there. So he was like to the same guard, hey, I don't want to be that guy. But
Relax, dude.
It's not here. So they were like, the guy's like, I'll go check with the manager of the gallery. And bam, 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 it was stolen.
What?
Oh, my
Matt,
God.
it's a podcast. You have to react audibly.
Yeah. Matt looks so shocked.
There we go.
What had happened was former Louvre worker, an Italian guy called Vincenzo Perugia.
Vincenzo.
Say it with me, Matt.
Vincenzo Peruzzi.
So Perugia.
I think they pronounce their G's as S's.
Peruzzi. Okay, so anyway,
Peruzzi.
Vincenzo, let's just call him that.
Vinny.
He had pulled off, Vinmeister had pulled off the greatest art theft of the 20th century, possibly of all time. Now, when you guys think of great art thefts, or any theft, bank robberies, that kind of stuff.
I think of Frederick McCubbin.
Stealing our hearts.
Yeah.
One panel at a time. One panel at a time. But when you think of theft, you think of
Ocean's 11, yes.
yeah,
That's
bank
what I
vaults
think
being broken. That's right.
Yeah.
People cartwheeling through laser beams, dropping from the ceiling, doing all kinds of stuff. 3 years of planning, blueprints, maps, that kind of stuff. No, that is not how Vincenzo Perugia rolls, right? He rolls in a much more casual way. On the Sunday night, the night before, Perugia had hid in a broom cupboard in the Louvre, knowing that the next day the museum would be closed, because it's closed on Mondays.
Sure.
He emerged on Monday morning wearing a white artist's smock that he used to work there in, because he used to put glass on top of the... People were like, hey, the art's not lasting long enough, we should put glass on all of them. So there, for a few months, it took thousands and thousands of artwork had to have glass put on them. So he was that guy for a bit. Then he quit, but he kept his white art smock. So he comes out of the broom cupboard, just casual, you know what I'm saying? And at the time, there's a lot less guards on a Monday because it's closed, so there was no one in there. He walked into the room where the Mona Lisa is hanging, and he just grabbed it off the wall, went to a stairwell, took it out of its frame, shoved it down the front of his white art smock, did it up, and walked out the fucking front door. And he was gone.
That's amazing.
He passed a guard station on the way out, but the guard was getting a glass of water.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Can you imagine what he would look like just hobbling down the street with a big canvas just stuff? Because it's painted on wood. That's the thing about it. So he didn't just roll it up or anything. Like
She
so it's a
painted on
solid...
wood.
Yeah, it's painted on wood. So he's just got this solid sort of art. 77 by 53 centimetres.
Is she oil? Oil on wood?
Oil
No.
on wood, yes.
I think she's a watercolor.
She's not
She's
a watercolor.
I
you
think
idiot.
Pastel.
She...
Faber-Castell.
Crayons.
Please, she has a name, and it's Lisa Del Giocondo.
Sorry,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a Del
So old mate Vincenzo took it back to his apartment, and Paris lost their shit.
Really?
It was in the papers around the world, but here's how unknown it was at the time. Police had to circulate thousands of flyers with Mona Lisa's face on it so people knew what she would look like if they saw it. So these days, if it got stolen, you would instantly be like, oh, that's Mona Lisa. But at the time, even in Paris, people not sure what it was like. And the Washington Post even published the wrong picture when they wrote an article about it being painted. So it's just not known at the time.
But you know what? If you walked into your friend's apartment now and they had a Mona Lisa,
The one.
yeah, but you'd just be like, oh, you've got a print of the Mona Lisa.
They'd be
That's
like,
cool,
yeah,
I guess.
A print.
A print, not the original.
Wait, is that beach towel the real Mona Lisa?
And what's this 10 metre by 6 metre painting on the other wall in your apartment? Oh my goodness. But the Louvre, they felt like losers. They
Yeah.
closed for an entire week. Administrators lost their jobs. French borders were closed. Every ship, every train was searched for the painting.
But at the time, it wasn't even that famous.
Yeah,
Is that
but
what you're
people were pretty... Because obviously, it's not that famous at the time. But Leonardo Da Vinci was
He
still a
already
legend
was,
at the
okay.
time.
Yeah.
So people are like, hang on, someone stole our Leonardo. That's pretty annoying. A massive reward was announced for its safe return. Paris was devastated as news spread of the loss of this...
Cheer
Very
up,
famous
Paris.
painting.
Seriously, it's a painting.
And all they had left was 4 iron pegs and the frame that it once hung in.
Oh wow!
This is interesting. Police started questioning people about the painting. One of whom was Guillaume Apollinaire, an avant-garde poet, who one of your mates, Matt, poet. He's an art critic who he coined the terms cubism and surrealism. Pretty cool guy.
Wow.
He's a friend to art, but he had also once claimed that the Louvre should be burnt to the ground. So his outrageous comments landed him in jail as being a suspect. And when he was in jail, it became obvious it wasn't him. But he started pointing the finger at his friend, one Pablo Picasso, who was living in Paris at the time. And they arrested Picasso, who was already successful at the time.
Pablo Picasso's house in Paris. I walked past it.
Did you go into any building in Paris? Did you just walk past everything? And what did his house look like? It looked pretty good.
It was like a townhouse sort of apartment thing, like a fully attached sort of thing.
Didn't look very rich.
No, it wasn't. But he was rich during his lifetime, though.
That's
Pablo.
right.
He was
Yeah,
one of the
because
few.
he lived to be in his 80s as well.
Yeah.
Did he?
So he was, when he died, he was estimated to be worth, he was over $1 billion.
Wow.
What?
Then, like serious money.
This one was a walking
Holy
tour
crap.
of Paris, of the whatever district that was.
Great, but Picasso was a self-made man. When he was young, I read that he used to have to burn his canvases to stay warm at night.
What?
He didn't have enough money to pay for wood. Imagine what they'd be worth now.
I
Damn.
know. Every time I go to the NGV, I always go to. There's like one Picasso at the NGV, and I always go and have
Weeping
a look
Woman?
at it. Yeah, and I'm always like, "Sup, Picasso?"
Sup, Picasso,
And then I
baby.
keep going.
On this walking tour, they why can't I remember the name of that district? Anyway, they the tour guide said that there's a story about Picasso that he used to just get free stuff based on his fame and stuff. So one time he had this big dinner and drinks and stuff. And when it came time to pay the check, he's like, "How about I just give you this drawing?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, that'd be amazing." He's like, "Can you?" And the restaurateur said, "Do you mind signing it?" And he said, "Mate, I'm just trying to buy the meal, not the whole restaurant."
Oh, smackdown!
Damn.
And then he put on his sunnies and rode off on a motorbike.
I'm Picasso, motherfucker. But he was about so before because he lived to be an old man in his 80s and made a lot less good stuff in his 80s. But anyway, he was still making art, and people obviously were thinking he was going to die, and he was also very, very famous. But a lot of his art he hadn't signed, and they were trying to work out what was his and what was knockoffs of his. So they were trying to get him to sign stuff. So people would often send him a painting and be like, "Hi, I own one of your works. Can you sign it for me?" And he got so sick of it that one day someone sent him a canvas, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll sign it." And he signed it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times so that you couldn't see the image anymore, and it was just blur of Picasso. And he ruined his own artwork. He's like, "There you go."
Oh.
I bet you that's worth heaps now if they can.
It
What a
probably is.
shit.
So we've got Perugia. Everyone's freaking out about it. It's made headlines, but then everyone thinks it's lost forever. So our thief Vincenzo, who's just a simple house painter, that's his other day job, meanwhile lay low for 2 years keeping the painting just in a trunk in his apartment. And after 2 years, he decided to take it to Florence in Italy, back where he's from. And then he tried to sell the painting to an art gallery for what is worth $3 million in today's money, which is a steal for the Mona Lisa. And the dealer was suspicious of it actually being real, as you would be. So he got the director of the famous Uffizi Gallery in Florence. He's like, all right, I'll pay the money if it's real, but I'll bring over the director.
This doesn't sound like a good
check.
idea.
And of course, it was real, and the director convinced Perugia. He was like, yeah, it is real. Can you give it to me for safekeeping?
Oh my God, this is even
And
worse.
Perugia was like, yeah, okay. And then the director immediately called the police, and Perugia was arrested. So there you go. Not the most-
Perugia. Jeez, he'd come so far. 2 years, imagine.
2 years. So the painting was back. Big news story across the world again, increasing its fame.
Look,
again.
Dave, just for the listeners, if you're going to sell a super famous piece of artwork, it's got to be on the black market.
No, you can't get the director of the most famous gallery in Florence. Because what are they going to do? Be like, yeah, sure, we'll buy it. We'll put it up. No one's going to call me on it.
So
I think
dumb.
France is going to be pretty pissed. So Leonardo da Vinci's master portrait returned when everyone thought it was lost. And it did a tour of Italy and then returned to...
Did a tour.
Yeah.
The stadium tour.
Study tour.
Matt, you got to stop doing visual gags.
Look, I'm just here for you guys.
But I love that... it's like the Mona Lisa stadium tour with support from Van Gogh. So the first they bring out Van Gogh and everyone's like, "Oh, it's pretty good." And then Mona Lisa comes out, yeah, encore, encore. Oh my goodness, I didn't think he was going to bring out the Last Supper, but he did. He did. So it's back to the Louvre in 1913, and meanwhile Perugia, he was like, "Nah, I stole it for patriotic reasons. I'm not a thief." He said he wanted to bring the painting back to Italy after it was stolen by Napoleon, which is definitely untrue because it was bought by the King of France 250 years before Napoleon was even born. So Perugia was like, no, I had good intentions. And even though he wanted a casual $3 million.
Yeah.
So that kind of undermines that theory in my mind. People still debate about this, whether he was a good guy. He was put on trial, but the court kind of agreed that he did it for patriotic reasons. So they gave him a lenient sentence. And he went to jail for 1 year and 15 days. But he was hailed as a great patriot in Italy for bringing the portrait back home, and he served only 7 months in jail.
But you know what? Like, I was going to say, oh, come on. But at the same time, all he did was steal a painting. Like, he didn't murder anybody.
Yeah,
No.
still a
Can you
year. That's a
imagine-
long time.
But imagine being in prison and they're like, what are you in for? And you're like, stole a painting. You'd just get shanked.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. You'd be someone's bitch.
That is like the pansy
Yeah.
art crime.
No, you guys forget. He was a great patriot.
Yeah.
He would have been the king of that jail.
Yeah. For stealing a painting. Good on him.
Well, the people that should have been thanking him were back over in Paris at the Louvre, because before the disappearance of the painting, it was hardly world famous and was only recognised by people in the art world that recognised. Because these days you go and see it, it's in its own room practically. It's got its own wall. But back then they were just in a room with dozens of other portraits. It was just any other thing, just another thing. 400 years later, she's finally hit the big time.
Wow. So he kind of did her a favour.
Absolutely.
He made her really
Made her
famous.
famous because
I can't believe before that, like, she wasn't that famous, so that they had to print pictures of her and
people
stuff.
just didn't know.
Wow.
And then the legend sort of grew. So during the Second World War, the painting was again removed from the Louvre, taken to a lot of art was taken to several chateaux in the French countryside. So the Nazis couldn't get it when they occupied Paris.
I think this feels like every episode we should somehow bring up the Nazis, because I feel
Agreed.
like
Oh.
I think they slot into any topic.
They-
I knew they were only minutes away.
Every time I read about something on Wikipedia,
Wikipedia always is
I'm back to the
Napoleon
Nazis.
or Hitler. They're always involved.
I know.
And we've ticked both those boxes
We
today.
have.
Yeah.
Contractually obligated as we are. Sponsored
Sponsored
by
by
Napoleon. And then in the 60s, the painting toured again, this time to America. Did you guys know this? It went to New York City and Washington, D.C. This is when JFK was in power, and 1.7 million New Yorkers turned up to see it in the freezing month of February. So in 1 month, nearly 2 million people saw it.
What?
Then it went to Japan and Moscow 10 years later. And by this time, it was being used in advertisements, it's put on fridge magnets, on T-shirts. So the legend just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And more people recognize it until suddenly it's the most famous painting in the world. It's one of those things when the cult gets so big. Now it's 100 years later. We've all forgotten why
Yeah.
it got so big.
Yeah.
You just sort of accept it. It's like the Beatles. Yeah, they're the biggest. You just accept it.
Yeah.
You don't, I imagine people in another 40 years look back at the Beatles and be like, sorry, why were they big? They just were.
Yeah.
They were just the band. So that's what Mona Lisa. And it's time to put a price on something you can't put a price on.
Ooh.
What do you guys reckon it's worth? I'll give you a bit of a clue here. The most expensive painting ever sold is currently another French artist, Gauguin. Sold in February this year.
Do Gauguin.
We should call the episode Do Gauguin. It was sold in February.
So sorry.
No, it's great.
So sorry, Jess.
No. Hey, you didn't get it. Oh, Matt.
Oh,
You come
a
to
good
my
one.
place here.
It was actually pretty good, Do Gauguin.
It was great. It was a good one.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
okay,
this
how much is that?
Gauguin.
You deserve better than that, Jess.
Do I? What about me?
Nah.
Dave.
Yeah, okay, sorry about
Nay.
this.
Nay,
The
Dave.
most expensive painting ever sold was $300 million.
300 million.
Yeah, in February this year.
So that's sold. So the Mona Lisa hasn't been sold for a long time. Mona Lisa is worth a lot more than that.
I'm going to go $1 billion.
Going for a bill.
I'm going to go 100 billion. I'm going to say priceless.
Well, you would be right. It is priceless because when it toured to the USA in the 60s, they got an insurance quote on it, and it was valued then at $100 million, which today is $700 million. But they decided not to insure it, and they just spent more money on security and
Yeah,
stuff.
that seems smart.
Wow.
Because you can't, because $700 million, if you go, that's like time machine money. Like, you would need, if it was destroyed, obviously you can't replace it. You would have to have enough
Yeah.
money to build a time machine,
Yeah,
go
shit.
back in time, and stop the Nazis from ever coming to power.
Do you think that it'll ever go anywhere else? Like, I think it has to stay in the Louvre.
Yeah, no,
doesn't
they've
it?
said now that they won't let it out ever again. So, Matt, you blew your chances.
Oh,
It's not coming to
no.
Melbourne next year.
I've been to Paris 3 times,
Never
and I've
seen it.
never. It's just.
3 times.
I'll go. I will after this. After this lesson that I've just had here, I'm gonna go check it out next time.
Yeah.
I was just wondering though.
Mm-hmm.
It's only famous because it was stolen, right? Is the painting even any good? It's just like a portrait. I don't really get why that is amazing compared to millions of other paintings.
Well, like any sort of art, it's a question for yourself.
Yeah.
Subjective.
Do you enjoy the Mona Lisa?
Well, I don't think I'd look twice at it if I didn't know it was.
I think it's
Very
it's
true.
very difficult to get rid of the hype and the cult
Yeah.
following that it has, and objectively look at it and go, if you did see that for the first time,
Yeah, it's hard to know. But
would you look twice, or would you just move along the wall to the?
Yeah, the big thing.
I
Yeah.
play a game when I go to art galleries where, like, every room you go into, you can pick one.
Yeah.
It's a great game. And you're right, I don't think I would pick her if I walked into a room with, not even just the room that she's in with that 10 metre by 6 metre, but any room I'd just be like, yeah, it's fine, whatever, I'd pick something else. So great point.
But isn't that crazy? Because I just assumed that there was something I didn't get. But it sounds like it was just because it was stolen.
Yeah,
and
but
it
I
does-
didn't know
Some
that.
chance, just a bit
Like,
of chance.
it's actually quite recently famous in terms of how old it is.
Yeah, so only 1/5 of its lifetime has
Yeah.
it been
That famous.
the big deal that it is.
I think this podcast should go real big. I think this is going to educate some people.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's going to go viral
Okay, big call, big
Yep.
call.
Big
in
big
500 years.
Yeah.
That's right.
When the technology no longer exists to listen to it.
I'm just going to finish on this. In 2005, Dutch researchers from the University of Amsterdam ran the painting's image through emotion recognition computer software. You know how people talk about, one of the things people talk about is the Mona Lisa smile. Like, oh, what is that expression she's got? It's very ambiguous. Different people see it different ways. Not anymore. We know the stats. She is, according to the smile, 83% happy. 83% happy. 9% disgusted.
Oh.
6% fearful. Ooh, Leonardo. 2% angry. Less than 1% neutral.
Sure.
And thankfully, 0% surprised.
Wait,
What?
like with all those other things, wouldn't it be 0% neutral? How can you be
I know. No, less than
point something percent neutral, but 99 point something percent not neutral? Anyway, look, I've just debunked that whole study there.
It's almost like that study isn't that scientifically accurate anyway.
It's almost like it's
That's
a waste
great.
of all of our time.
Yeah.
Hey, Jess, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, pardon me. Yes, questions.
No. It's just, did Da Vinci have a family? Did he have kids?
No.
He was just a
No,
lone
he
wolf.
was a lone wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's not much written about his personal life, there was just one time there was a rumor that he was in a homosexual relationship with another man. And then at
Makes
the
sense.
which was...
He was in a homosexual relationship with another woman. Huh.
Oh.
No, and but that was controversial at the time. Obviously,
Of
not very
course.
accepting 500 years ago. Extremely religious society.
But that's...
But then he was able to, in quotation marks, clear his name
Oh, my God.
to try. But I'm pretty sure that he just wasn't a sexual being.
Yeah, cool. Well, he had so much else going on.
Oh, no, he had too much.
Who has the
Who
time?
has
Yeah.
time?
Yeah, fair enough. No, that was just wondering if there were any other Da Vincis out there.
Sadly.
And I think my favourite part of all of that, although, that was fairly early and a lot of interesting things happened, but when he said he'd never finished a work, like in his eyes, nothing was finished.
Yeah, that's in his eyes.
I wonder what else he would have added to the Mona Lisa, for example. Like if he didn't feel that was finished or any of his other works weren't finished.
He's going to put a hat on her.
Just a bloody fedora.
Fedora and a cigar.
Yeah, and like Groucho Marx. Yeah.
Oh,
A mustache.
I just think he wanted to finish that goddamn horse.
Yeah, maybe.
That does sound like what a frustrating feeling that must be,
Yeah.
that you just feel empty.
What a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So, guys, that is the Mona Lisa, our first thing. I did go on.
You
It was
sure did.
fascinating, though.
That was, yeah. I didn't know nearly any of that apart from the Ninja Turtles.
That's our first report. We're going to come back next week with Matt or Jess doing a report on another topic.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had a good time, share it around, tell the peeps, and we'll see you guys next time.
Laters.
Bye. Share
work,
dem
Dave.
facts, girl. 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 Dem